Hi, this is Kenty. Welcome to our show. One of the highlights, one of the many highlights that is, of summertime in Toronto is the annual CIMA, that's the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants Mayor's Trophy Cricket Tournament. And adding to that highlight, as always, is a visit of CIMA's president, that is their global president, who is always on hand for the CIMA Mayor's Trophy game. And this year, no exception, we've got the current CIMA president with us, Mr. Malcolm Furber. Malcolm was elected president, just about a week or so ago, and this is always generally the case when we welcome the CIMA president here to Toronto for the CIMA game, and Malcolm is in our studios now. So let me first say welcome to you, Malcolm. It's good to have you here, sir. Welcome to Toronto.
Just hot off the press, out of the starting blocks in London, and my first visit is here, so I'm very pleased to be here.
Well, as always, and I think perhaps, well, before I do that, let me say congratulations as well on your recent election to this high office as president of CIMA. This is only, as I said, just about a week or so ago. And, good work. You've been in CIMA's council for 13, 15 years, and you've held progressively responsible positions there. You've been a leader in senior positions in industry in the UK and also in South Africa. Now you're a mentor to a number of organizations, so you're well qualified for all of this, and you're now the president. So I want to congratulate you very, very strongly on becoming president.
Thank you very much.
I say, as always, when we welcome your predecessors and now you yourself here, generally, you're always coming your first big trip, because elections are around this time. You generally make it here for the CIMA Mayor's Trophy. And I just say that, upon election to president of CIMA, you already know that's a guaranteed big trip coming, and it's always, a fun time.
Yes, indeed. It is one of many, but I think it's a trip with a difference as well. I mean, if you look at my schedule right through to the end of my presidency next year, there are some very interesting events, but none quite as novel as the one I'm attending tomorrow. It certainly is a groundbreaking initiative by the guys in Canada to use a sporting event to promote something like accountancy. It is very novel, and as you may know, I did turn my arm over some years ago, so perhaps tomorrow I might squeeze it out of the bones again.
Well, we'll see what happens. Somebody told me you were a mean swing bowler.
Yes, I was a fast bowler. I could turn it left and right. And I was a batsman that could be either nothing or quite a substantial run maker.
Oh, very good.
As we say in South Africa, six or nix. Nix being nothing.
Yeah, so it should be a fun time, and if somebody needs you, hey, you're able to help out during the game tomorrow. It's a good thing, coming here for this Mayor's Trophy tournament. It's a tournament that's it's really growing every year, as you probably know. It's an award-winning showcase. ICC itself, they've won awards, as you know, for marketing cricket. And then recently, even for the schoolboys tournament, the cricket across the pond, that's also won award. So these boys are doing fabulous things here. But all your predecessors, Mr. Barber, Mr. Baird, Coughlin, Gordon Grant, they've all come here, and they've seen the game. And I think every year since the game now has been around 6 or 7 years now, I think, it's getting better. More people are involved, more business teams, teams from commerce, the media. What have your colleagues told you about this? So what are your expectations? What do you think is going to be happening at the CIMA Mayor's Trophy game?
Well, my predecessors have always seen it, like I say, as a unique event, combining sport with supposedly a dull and boring job like as an accountant. I think it is that breaking down of barriers between business and sport. I mean, there's a lot of problems in the administration of sport all over the world at the moment, but I think this brings it from grassroots level, and I'm really pleased that the youth are getting involved as much as they are, and that is the excitement for me, is bringing the youth on board. It is going to be one of my themes during my presidential year. As you know, we run the Global Business Challenge, which is a business game, and that is proving very, very successful.
This game it showcases cricket. It markets it. And because of the people who take part, as I said, leaders of business, all, you know, people in very, very important positions here, and their teams, not just the leaders, they're people who work in these businesses, the banks, the government, the city, the media, teams, you know, from all parts of the business and commerce side of things in the city take part. So it really showcases the game, and the CIMA Mayor's event, this event, your event, has really helped in a really great way to make this game very, very popular. It's, you know, the game is being popular, you know, because of other efforts as well. But Toronto, we say that cricket is the fastest growing game here now, and it's because of efforts like these. And it's not just, you know, the members, the CIMA Toronto, they're promoting cricket, but they're getting involved in other aspects of community life. And so the sport and everything else that they do help to build the community and consolidate things as well. So it's not just only about cricket, it's really a lot more than that.
Yes, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, it breaks down those barriers that we do see out there in the real world of commerce, levels the playing field. I mean, I remember having a strategy session with the South African Revenue Service, and things weren't going so great. So the commissioner at the time said, "Okay, we're going to scrap this now. We're going to go and play soccer, break down the silos of internal silos of that organisation." So I think sport is a great leveller, and it gets people talking that wouldn't normally talk together.
No.
It's really one of the blessings of, you know, the game of cricket, etc. And I think game of cricket also, it's very much more of a social game where you can talk quite casually to other people on the boundary, etc. Over a nice glass of wine or a cup of tea in the pavilion. Yeah, I think that's you're right. I mean, it's a great leveller, and it breaks down barriers very quickly, and people start talking. People become aware of other people in different professions. Like I say, one of the problems we face around the world at the moment is the unemployment situation. But there's a skills shortage. So what does that say to you? You know, the skills being developed by individuals are not matching the market needs. And I think that's one thing about the CIMA qualification, is the fact that it's adaptable. And that's also one of the things I want to be pressing through in my presidential year.
I know you've only been here just recently. We're talking here, and you've literally been here in the city just for hours now. But, you know, whom have you met? And I know you've also been here about 30 years ago. What have you seen in the short time that you've been here so far? What have you seen that's been different, that looks certainly different from the last time you were here?
I would say that the amount of infrastructure, the expansion, certainly in the central city itself, is mind-blowing. All the big buildings that are there now that didn't exist 30 years ago. I think the tower was still there 31 years ago. But yeah, I think the expansion and the way you're using the land, etc., not now it's being unused, but still, as we were at Western yesterday, glancing out from the office windows there, that greenery still exists, and I think that is terrific, the way that you've blended everything in. So that's my impressions. The other thing is, I remember from 30 years ago, you had black squirrels. I haven't seen one of those yet, but I hope to over the next few days.
They're probably all gone.
I hope not. I'm sure with the greenery around here, you still got some.
But I ask you, whom else have you seen? You mentioned squirrels. Have you only been meeting with your colleagues from CIMA?
Yes, we have a number of high-profile members. One which is the CFO of Galen Weston, and we had lunch with him yesterday. But I think one of the most interesting events yesterday was a visit to the local brewery, and where, once again, one of our members is the CFO. I think it's nice to see a microbrewery growing so fast, and immediately walking through the doors, that smell of hops and malt hit me, because I was in that industry for a while and learnt a lot about the beer trade. So it was great to see a small company going. And then today,
Institute of Management Accountants, the global president, Malcolm Furber. Malcolm is here for the annual CIMA Mayor's Trophy cricket match. Malcolm, are there complementary activities similar to this one by CIMA Toronto or CIMA Canada in other chapters around the world?
I would say this is quite unique, being a sporting event. The other event that we have is the Global Business Challenge, which takes undergraduates from the universities around the world and gives them a business case and scenario, and they have to come up with a proposal as like a group of consultants would do so, and feed that back. That is growing at a tremendous rate. It is almost trebled in the 3 or 4 years it's been going. So what happens there is the students are given a case study, and they then, say, present these. Each country then has a regional final, and then the final global competition is somewhere in the world. And the unique thing is, one about this is that when it's held, the global challenge, they adopt an animal from that region. And obviously 2 years ago in China it was a panda called CIMA. Then last year in Sri Lanka was a young elephant. And this year, because of the endangered species and the slaughtering of rhinos in South Africa, is in fact a rhinoceros. So lo and behold, 2 weeks ago, I had the great pleasure of going at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it was quite cold in the Johannesburg area at that time. It's winter there now, don't forget.
Oh, it's winter there?
Yes, it's close to 0 degrees in the morning. And standing in front of 2 very large rhinoceroses with calves, trying to get a photo shoot of these in the background. But we had a very clever photographer who's using a long telephoto lens, and using depth of field, makes it look a lot closer than it was. But over and above that, the photo shoot, which is probably going to be a first for CIMA, because the president of CIMA is not going to be on the front cover of FM magazine wearing a suit and tie. He's in safari outfit. So it's going to be a little bit different, and I think my presidential year is going to be a little bit different as well.
You're bringing something different, and I mean, again, it goes to prove the life of an accountant is no longer dull and boring as some people might think. You get into all kinds of little scrapes and funny situations. Yes,
in fact, we've had a great think tank recently with our colleagues from America as part of our strategy building. And one of the problems we face, if you look at our syllabus, it's revised every 5 years. And so the next one will come in 2015 to last to 2020. Now, if you think of a young teenager at the moment who might enter our qualification in 2020, they want something very different than the normal accounting world. They don't want a 9-to-5 job. They don't want to work in an office. So we always talk about the wow factor. And I think this is one thing that the CIMA qualification offers you, is this wow factor. I've done some quite remarkable assignments in my time. And probably the best one was I talked about the microbrewery just now. In fact, I set up the hospitality business in South Africa for gas distribution for the likes of Guinness and so on and so forth.
AFCO?
Yeah. And part of that was doing the market research, which myself and the marketing guy did. So it was going to pubs, restaurants, cinemas, etc., and tasting beer. So that's how I learned a lot about beer, and particularly Guinness. So yeah, there is a wow factor in the jobs we do, and I think we've got to push that more, because it is a different world out there now from the normal accounting. Yeah.
Well, and talking about being a different world, CIMA, and you mentioned your American counterparts just a moment ago, the AICPA. You have had a joint venture recently. Well, you've been working it for a while, and you've been quoted as saying that CIMA and the AICPA will shape the future of the accounting profession. How so?
Well, like I say, I mean, it has been a great success. The joint venture has been running for just over a year now. We've exceeded all our targets and we're pushing ahead a lot faster. It is game-changing, as you say. The world of accountancy has changed over the years. I've been qualified for over 30 years. And when I first started work, it was, you know, real number crunching with spreadsheets which were literally paper. And I think back at the time, and I thought, what did we have those days instead of email? We had telex machines, you know, and we didn't have fax machines, so how did you do that? And
how did you do any of those things back then?
Yeah, precisely. Yeah. So the tools are there now to take a lot of the nitty-gritty work away. So the job of the finance manager, the CFO, management accountant, business accountant, call it what you will, has changed. And it's a more value-added role now. As the CFO of Microsoft once said, it's all very well looking in the rear-view mirror, but if there's a bend in the road ahead, you're heading for a problem. And that's his view on the way that accountants should be going into the future. We obviously constantly review our qualification. It's reviewed every 5 years. I've been involved in the last 4 qualification reviews. As an honorary officer, sadly, I can't be involved in this one. And there's going to be a step change, particularly in the way we examine in the future. Children nowadays don't learn from books, they learn electronically. The biggest problem that some of my students have in the organisations that I consult with is that all of a sudden they've got to handwrite an exam. And they have to practice handwriting because they're going to be handwriting for about 3 hours. We have moved away in our final exam to examining on PC, and it's proving very, very successful with higher pass rates than handwritten. So there's a hint of where we're going in 2015.
This then is the relevance of CIMA and your joint ventures in the global economy right now?
Yes.
Or in the global marketplace, as it were.
Yes, I mean, like I say, there's in all the research we're doing, there's some big trends coming through where management accountants will be at the forefront, because management accountants tend to know the end-to-end business, whereas a financial accountant will just know his little bit of job, the marketing guy will know his bit, the HR guy will know his bit. And the other thing that's coming out very strongly, and I think back to my career, is that we need to market ourselves more. And I go back to, I say, when I first qualified back in '78, I had to go to Indonesia for a while because we had a bit of a crisis. I came back, and because I knew the business end-to-end, I had to present to the board at the age of 26. And I had to use marketing skills to sell this concept. And that's how I ended up in marketing. I actually worked in marketing for 3 years. Probably one of the best jobs I've ever had, because it was so different. But I was like a financial consultant even at that tender age. But it's those marketing skills that, you know, most accountants, you think, oh, they never will be able to market themselves. But that is something we've got to do.
A couple more questions I'd like to ask you relative to accountants and marketing and the global economy. But just in case I run out of time, I need to switch a little bit. I'll take a little turn, because we just established that no longer are management accountants or accountants per se dull and boring. So I want you to tell me, let our viewers know something about the Bush Pilots Association and your tiger moth flying and the pit special. Let's talk a little bit about that. Aeronautics is one of the things that you love, so tell me a little bit about that.
I think I sometimes tend to live on the edge a bit. I mean, like I say, accountants tend to be risk-averse. I like to say I'm not so risk-averse, but I've always have some sort of way out of a situation. But yeah, I do like flying. I've always liked flying. So some years back...
And your wife flies along with you as well?
That is another story.
That's another story. Oh, okay.
Actually, my wife and I met through South African Airways. And so there's a connection there as well. Many years ago. She checked me in, and I checked her out.
That's very
literally,
good.
it's
Very good.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, it's a passion of mine. I've loved flying in small aeroplanes since an early age, and I do aerobatics in a pit special with SAA instructor, South African Airways instructor. And the reason why you saw me on that little tiger moth, which is older than me, and I'm quite old.
Must have been in the war somewhere.
Yeah, that plane was 70 years old when I flew it. My wife was not keen on me doing a lot of small aeroplane flying, so I duped her into going in formation in 2 tiger moths. And the grin was there, and I'm not thinking, is this a grin of enjoyment or apprehension? And as soon as we landed, she said, I think I want to do aerobatics now. I said, yes, at that price per hour, no.
Well, and another thing, quickly, your mean machine.
My
Are you
mean
still
machine?
driving that?
Yes, I do love sports cars. When I was in resident in the UK, I always had sports cars. It's a very different story in South Africa because the altitude at that level was guzzles. The mean machine is a 2.7 V6 Hyundai Tiburon, but I do have a little MG which is in pristine condition and a lot older than...
That goes back to your British upbringing. You've got to have that MG going.
Yeah.
Malcolm, we thank you for coming to our studios and chatting with us, and also coming to attend the CIMA Mayor's Trophy game. Have a lot of fun, and remember again, if anybody needs a sub, a 12th man, or anything like that, you'll be sure to give him a hand. A real pleasure. Enjoy your stay. Congratulations again on your election to the presidency, and enjoy your tenure.
Thank you very much, and it's been a pleasure.
Malcolm Furber is the president of CIMA, and he has been with us here in our ATN studios. He's here in Toronto for the annual CIMA Mayor's Cricket Trophy game. This is Kenty for the Asian Television Network.